Hi, everyone. So, this is going to be a little bit different. I'm not reviewing a book. I'm not talking about holidays. I'm reviewing something of Norm Macdonald's. So, here we go. Okay, so those of you that don't know the story of this may be wondering, what do you mean you're reviewing something on Norm Macdonald? There's nothing new. We lost him last year. But that's where you're wrong. There is something new. So it turns out he had two secrets. One was the pretty big one that we all hate and despise because we lost him to it. But he had plans. He was doing something behind that secret to kind of, I don't know, give us one last piece of him. I kind of like that it came out so long after he passed, even though it feels just like yesterday. Time has moved on since. But okay, the story behind this is he knew he was running out of time. He was getting stand up material ready anyway in hopes that he'd have a little bit more time. I mean, probably. He didn't actually come out and say this, but I imagine he had this thing for 9 years, so he was probably thinking, what's another year? But Netflix put up this thing in the very, very beginning saying that he was about to have surgery, so he recorded a stand up special from his house the night before he had surgery. In case he didn't make it. He did make it because this was back in 2020, but he held on to it. I imagine his friend held on to it for him. Lori Joe, who has been his executive producer and probably best friend what seemed like his whole career. And in the very beginning, you do hear a woman's voice, so I wouldn't doubt that it's her. So she's probably helping him record it, or at least just hanging out with him because he was going through a scary night. Anyway, so he left this for us, for all the fans. I didn't think I could love him more, but I love him a little bit more for this. Just knowing that something like this was about to be released, I was so excited, but also a little bit sad. And in the beginning, he's talking like nothing's wrong. I want to show you clips, but I don't know if Netflix will let me. But he's saying who he is, saying, hey, Norm Macdonald here. And then he's talking about how he can't wait to get back on stage. He can't wait to see the crowd. And for a second, I got excited, saying, yeah, that'd be amazing. And then I realized why we're watching it. It's basically his letter to all his fans of, if you're watching this, something bad happened to me. So that made it sting a little bit. But it's like watching it, if you're ever wondering what it's like to just be in a room with him and hanging out, this is the perfect thing to watch. This is exactly what it feels like. And at the end, so I thought that it would be an hour and a half of just him. It's a decent chunk. It's about 50 minutes. At least that's what they say at the end. And I mean they being David Letterman, Dave Chappelle, Molly Shannon, Conan, Adam Sandler, and David Spade. They're all talking about what they just watched. They watched it, and then they're all talking about their feelings on Norm and just how they felt when they heard. That's really entertaining to watch. And kind of a little therapeutic in a way. Because here's all these big names, these big comedians that you can tell deeply cared about him. They may not have seen him every day, they may not have talked to him every day, but they knew him. And you can tell, even though they knew him, they were also fans of him. So you can relate to what they're saying. And what I love, I noticed this. So here's a picture of Norm when he's talking. Here's a picture of Letterman. And right on the side of Letterman is the hat that Norm was wearing. I love that little piece of Norm. It's like he's in the room with them. It's the hat he was wearing, it's with them, he's there. It felt like he was there. And I feel like him being in the news right now, almost a year after it happened, would make him so happy. I mean, it would probably make him feel awkward, but deep down, probably a little happy. And I've started binge watching him again. I'm on YouTube watching all these old clips of him over and over and over. He's back in the news because of this that he's left for us. So when I heard the news and I heard Conan talking about it and he said something similar, I felt like I could relate to Conan in this way because he said selfishly he thought to himself, no more new Norm. And that's exactly what I thought. When I heard that we lost him, I'm like, well, what do you mean? And I thought, there's going to be a world with no more new Norm. But he had this. And I think that's why he did it. And it's nothing sad in it. It's like his usual stand up. He's telling jokes about why he doesn't like airplanes because of the crashes. He's talking about cannibalism and, in a way, his way to deal with cannibalism, like how to survive with it. Just a typical Norm, random advice mixed with jokes, punchlines that aren't finished. There's, there's one where he's giving you advice of how to get in the exit row in the airplane. And then he goes off on some other tangent. And then he comes back around 20 minutes later and mentions something else. As he usually does, he talks about mortality, and he does mention something briefly where I'm just, ugh, it crushed me. It's like, I think he said it because he figures everyone knows he doesn't need to hide this secret anymore. He briefly mentions something that his doctor said to him. It wasn't a joke, it was just something he slipped in there, and it just made me kind of pause. It just made me look at him, and knowing what he was going through, keeping us laughing, he was going through it all on his own. He was just, he was so much more than a comedian. He honestly, truly cared about everyone. They didn't want his opinion changed on him. He didn't want any pity laughs or anything like that from his fans. He wanted to keep it exactly as it was to the very end. And even after with this, it's all jokes. He talks about mortality, but when does he not talk about mortality? I think he always kind of did this whole time he was dealing with cancer. We just didn't know why he was talking about it, but he always did. So even that was normal Norm, except a little bit here and there where he talks about the people in his life. He talks about his mom, he talks about his dad, and you can tell he's really thinking about what he wants to say while he still can. It just made me so happy. I can't say how much I've watched it. I think I started watching it like by the fourth time already today as I'm recording this, and it's only been out for like 4 days. So I feel like I watch little bits of it once a day just to kind of absorb it. One last gift from him, and it was amazing. It felt literally like sitting in a room with him, hanging out. There was no feedback. No one was laughing back at him. It was just him. And that's what made it so cool. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, the Norm fans that are on my channel, but when you watch him, are you constantly thinking that he's not here? because it's like my brain forces me to forget. It's like going through a trauma that my brain is trying to erase. Like, no, no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Until he says something that makes you remember, oh, it did. But that's just him. He talks about everything. There's so many funny parts that I want to just kind of take a snippet of it and just throw in here. But it is so worth watching. Even if you're a casual fan of his, just knowing that he made this the night before he was going through obviously a big surgery because he was wondering if he would even survive it. And it was like nothing was going on with him. There was no nervousness in his voice. He just put aside everything that he was going through to make us laugh one more time. And he did. I'm watching it over and over. I'm still laughing at the same parts that made me laugh the first time I watched it. Because no one does that. No one thinks I'm going through this terrible thing, but it's thinking about other people, wanting to make them laugh one more time. And I selfishly hope there's more. I doubt there is, but I selfishly hope there's more. Because knowing this may be the very last time we see him, that's what hurts. But am I glad he made this for us? So glad. I love him. So do I recommend it for any big Norm fans? Absolutely. Even casual Norm fans, even people are thinking, okay, what's the big deal about this guy? To see what you've been missing out on, to see that he did this for us when he was going through the worst thing possible, the scariest thing imaginable, is just amazing. And you know how Netflix has that little thing that I just recently noticed where it's either a thumbs up or thumbs down? Well, they added love it. I put that up before I even watched it. Right when I hit play, I said I loved it because I knew I was going to. I wish I could give it a higher ranking than that. That's the easiest way I could think to describe this special. He called it nothing special, but oh man, it was so special. It was so awesome. So, as far as ranking this, I'm gonna have to go with the way I ranked his book. No, I'm gonna have to go 10 on this one. 10 out of 10, 10. I don't want to go above 10 because I feel like everything of his I do that for. But it is just amazing. So this may come a little late. I know I usually publish videos on Friday and I'm recording this on Friday. I slacked a little bit on this one, but you can blame what I'm reviewing on that because I've been doing nothing but watching it. But that's my review on it. I hope I get this to you by Friday. I'm going to start editing it now, so we'll see how that goes. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye.